Welcome to the autumn-winter season of Indigo Living's On the Couch series. Well, this month we've upgraded our set. The couch is gone and I have a fancy new table and new chairs, and of course, a new lineup of guests. Today, I can't wait to welcome, well, a woman who has multiple titles. Let's start off with supermom. Let's start off with photographer, artist, and jewelry designer. And if you're not impressed just yet, well, pick up a copy of the latest edition of Forbes Middle East, because you're gonna find her on the cover. Please welcome Nadine Kanso. I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
And you're kicking off our autumn-winter season, which I love.
That's amazing. It's a beautiful space. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's so nice. When I think of autumn-winter, I think of fashion, and I feel like Indigo Living is a little bit about that because we are very into seasonal trends. And I think when it comes to fashion and beauty, I mean, I know you're on all the best dress lists, but it's always a nice time to upgrade our jewelry.
Absolutely, and everything else.
And everything else as well. But let's start by, I mean, I didn't even know the introduction because you have so many incredible titles, and I think that defines a true woman who has, well, a very impressive career. So you've constantly evolved, and I think that's the most important word there.
Absolutely.
You've evolved as an artist in all different sectors. So from photography, art, jewelry design, and you've excelled at all of them. So I want to go right to the beginning of where did your creative journey start? When was that moment that, did you recognize that you had that creative streak, or was it your mom, or where was that moment where you kind of had that tipping point where you're like, I'm going to focus in this area?
Actually, you know, my aunt is a lot into like couture and drawing and all of that, but also, which I liked a lot and I was keeping a close eye on. And then a few years down the road, just like around high school, I started being more interested in design and mostly in graphic design. And I saw a friend of mine that was going into that major. And that was the time I was like, oh, I can do that, and I think I'm like relating to that. So it was more about design and art at the same time. And then from university, I started taking pictures, enjoying my photography, but never it was about like anything professional. It was more about a passion, about something I like to do. And this is how it's kind of like settled in and grew up organically.
Did you ever find it hard to go into the creative field? I feel like a lot
No.
I mean, for me, my parents were like, no, you're going into business, and I fought to go into fashion school, but then...
No, actually, my parents were very much supportive, and I think they understood if you like something, that you need to do it because you will do it well. You'll do it well, and you'll be passionate about it. I think, and this is something I would tell anyone to whenever they want to do something, it needs to come from the heart, it needs to resonate with them, and something that you want to hopefully continue living with and exploring.
So the first career moment was photography. It was out of university or during university where you started taking photos.
Absolutely.
When was that moment where it started to monetize, really? Because that's every photographer's dream. When was that kind of pivotal point where someone kind of offered you, was it a show, or was it someone just wanted to buy a piece?
Actually it was a show at the V&A in London.
Wow.
I was working on with NBC on a project, filming. And the person who was producing that show, she knew I was very creative and I was tapping into a lot of creative works, photography and so on. And she goes, I want you to be on board with a project we're doing back in London. I said, what is it? She said, I want you to be the photographer. We want to take you as a photographer, as an artist photographer. And I was like, but I don't have anything like a body of work that is artistically all together under one theme or whatever. She goes like, you have a few months. You have a deadline.
Really?
And this is how you're gonna, you know, you make it or break it. It's like, you know what? I'm accepting that challenge, and I'm gonna go for it. And this is how it all started with the first show at the V&A. And at the time, IVDE Gallery here in Dubai saw the work and said, I want to show it. I'm gonna put you in the program. And this is how I started my artistic photography, and this is where I started making money out of art pieces and photography.
And was there, when you saw your pieces in a gallery or at the V&A?
That's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
You're a mom of 2 boys.
I am.
Did they get the artistic streak?
Not at all. They got the fashion streak.
They got the fashion streak. They're
no,
very
they're
well
into
dressed
sports.
boys.
They're into sports, and no, nothing artistic.
So you have a studio at home. That is your creative haven.
It is, and it's actually became the guys' room. So the kids come with their boyfriends and all their friends, and they sit there, watch TV, and play whatever. So that used to be for a long time my space until I moved to D3
Okay.
a few years back, almost 5 years now. Actually, yeah, 5 years. And things became more professional when it comes to my brand Bilarabi. So it was a big move, more structure in the business, more focus, and all of that.
Also, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned Bilarabi. I mean, I'm wearing one of your pieces. It's actually my favorite.
It's a beautiful piece.
And we're going to talk about
the
it.
colors.
Does. I was actually, I think I started with the ring and then I worked the outfit after. When was that moment where you started evolving your creative side? Because I think when, I always interview entrepreneurs or just career women, and they feel like they just always have to stay in one lane, when really you don't. And I think the evolution of a career or just growing is starting to adapt, and you don't realize, but you are training. So whether it's through graphic design, I mean, I don't know if you can actually see this, but it's in Arabic, it has your brand here. And that's through graphic design, essentially.
It is. So basically, as a creative, you feel that you want to evolve and you feel you want to try new things, but it's always in the creative set, kind of. So when it comes to Bilarabi, it was very much of after my first exhibition at the V&A and in Dubai, I wanted to have more of a statement. I said, how can I make the Arabic language and our culture and heritage seen on a to a wider audience? And I found myself going into jewelry, although I'm not a jewelry designer. Coming from the background of a graphic designer, I love typography, I love calligraphy. I happen to have a beautiful handwriting, thank God. So that also helped. So obviously it started with a very simple letter, the letter Noon for my name Nadine, and then it evolved. And you can tell at the beginning there was a lot of trials. There was a lot of collections coming out. There was no specific kind of focus on what goes when, no business sense, no nothing. And at one point after a year or so, I said to myself, no, I need, I realized that a lot of people are liking what I'm doing. And I said to myself, no, this has to slowly become more focused or more organized. And I never thought it will be a brand that will have that much success, because obviously I tapped into something that was not there at the beginning, 14 years ago now.
Yeah.
So I had to make, okay, these are the accounts. I have to get an accountant.
It's
and I have
interesting.
to,
So when was that moment? Because I think we're so creative, we forget there is a business side.
We do.
There are expenses, and if you want to run it like a business and pay for the office and the
absolutely,
team,
you can't do everything on your own. You need to start hiring people. But
that's actually a great lesson, right? Is having someone who can put you in line when it comes to business.
I'm bad with numbers. I'm so bad with numbers. I don't know how I got here, actually. And this is what my husband goes saying, you need to have an accountant. For the first year he was doing my accounts, and then it's like, you know what, let's keep being friends, otherwise this is going to go really bad. He goes then you have to hire an accountant, and obviously then you hire sales, and then it grows slowly, and then you understand how things function.
What are some of the lessons learned when going into this new business of jewelry?
I've learned a lot, actually, because I'm not a jewelry designer. So from production to collections to, it's artistic, and yet you have a business side to it. And this is where you need to balance things. You need to understand that you should not over expend at the time. And maybe this is why 14 years down the road, I am where I am today. Because sometimes if you have the funds, you tend to spend them and have a big branding, big campaigns and all of that. That's great if you have all the money to keep you 14, 15, 16 years down the road.
Yeah.
But I started from nothing, actually. And I made sure that I will sell, and whatever comes from that business goes back into the business. So it grew organically. And for me, that's an amazing journey, and I've learned so much with it. Other people might have different way of looking at things, but I think when you work slowly but surely towards something that you love and you focus on so well, and you put so much time and effort in it, and you persevere, and you don't let it go, and just like, you know, and don't let you know, the fancy, you know, all the media and all of that get you carried away. And a lot of designers do get carried away. So I think you need to be
that's
just
very
like,
good advice.
yeah, you just need to focus on your business at the end of the day.
Yeah, and actually just stay
Balance.
very true to your brand.
Absolutely.
And where you want to go. Have you done like a 3-year plan or a 5-year
Never.
plan? Never.
I'm so bad with planning. I'm such a bad planner. So if you tell me where do you want to be in 5 years, I'm going to tell you, I live day by day. I'm happy the way things are. I don't want more. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, then, you know, we say in Arabic, maktoob.
Yeah.
And maktoob means it's written.
Yes.
So whatever God's will, I mean, we'll go with
Well,
it.
it's a very good way
Yeah,
to
just like, you know, enjoy the moment.
And
especially
it's been
after
a funny year for a lot of people, so I think it's good to just live the best life you can live daily.
Just enjoy, be human, you know, interact with people more. Just like.
And how do you stay, what is your USP? Because if we look at kind of any online site, there are so many jewelry designers coming up, especially in the past 10 years. How do you stay ahead of the curve?
By being creative, actually, by being, as you said, like I have to be, especially in my field and the line I've created, a lot of people copied. I'm gonna just say it very bluntly. Everybody copied what I worked. But to be successful and to keep on, you need to be a bit on trend. You need to look at your design, make sure that the evolution is there in terms of design. You don't get stuck in one place. You need to keep your mind open, and you have to be ahead of them, like 4 or 5 steps ahead. I'm creative, they're not, obviously. So that is for one section. Other than that, you need to create that DNA. That DNA is your identity, is your card to the world, is your vision, is your image. You call it whatever you want. It has to be strong so you can stand out. Once you stand out,
that's actually great advice, and it's really just being true to yourself, and true to your brand.
In any field of design or any kind of business, you need to stand out for people to be able to recognize you and follow you and understand that this is Nadine Kanso, this is Bilarabi, you know. So otherwise. And
where did Bilarabi come from?
Well, as I said earlier, it came from that exhibition which was called Min Ana. Min Ana means who I am. It started by a question about Arab identity, and then it became more of a statement. And I said to myself, we need to wear our letters in Arabic, especially after 9/11. We've been put in a spot where we were looked at badly from the media, from everyone, and people started not naming their kids Arabic names, and that sort of like got me really in the heart. And I said to myself, no, I need to make something about it, and this is how it all started. I mean,
I love that.
Yeah.
And let's talk about technology. The past 10 years has been, I know, the past 10 years, everything has shifted, right? Like everything is online. Social media has a huge presence. How do you stay, again, ahead of the curve when it comes to tech?
I'm not sure I'm ahead of the curve in that category, but like I live, I work on my social media. Nothing is too much and nothing is too less. If people find what they want on our page, then it's great. But when it comes to the online business, definitely we need to develop it, and we need to develop it more, especially when COVID graced us with its presence. So we realized that we needed to be more online. So we're trying to push our website more, but we work also with partners such as UNAS and other entities that have a strong online presence, and we saw a huge shift in that, and that is a lesson to be learned. So definitely I need to invest more in that for the future.
And teaming up with the right retailers.
Yeah, of course. It's always a plus to be a partner with like UNAS, Bloomingdale's, all these Sauce even, Sauce Rocks, we do very well with them. So they have a niche clientele.
Everyone has smartphones now, and then everyone's taking these great photos, but as a photographer, have you conformed to like a smartphone, or are you still using a traditional camera?
No, I still use my cameras. I have an old Nikon, which is a film. It's not digital, which I still use and I love. and I cherish.
Yeah.
And then obviously I have a couple of digital ones, a Leica, and you know, but no, I'm an old school kind of a person.
And do you find that the images are completely different?
Totally different.
Yeah.
It's you know, obviously film captures light differently, and it's something maybe I'm nostalgic about it.
Yeah.
So this is why I like to use them. It's harder and harder to find ways to develop them, and you know, all of that. But I think they're coming back a bit in fashion. So hopefully we'll keep on doing that.
And what is your advice for young photographers that really look up to you?
I mean, again, whether photographers or designers that want to start their journey, whatever, they need to be to persevere. They need to be on top of their game, not lose hope, because the road is not always easy. So you have to keep on doing what you're doing. Try to have an evolution of your work. Look around. I would have said travel and see exhibitions and all of that. At this point, do it digitally.
Yeah.
But you definitely need to keep an open mind and try new things. Always try new things until you find your identity. We go back to this.
Yeah.
And once you do, that's your strength. You have to love what you do.
You have to love what you do. And I guess practice makes perfect, right?
Absolutely.
For photography
Absolutely.
as well. Is keep shooting and shooting until you
Absolutely.
find your
Absolutely.
your niche and your angle.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for sharing your words of wisdom.
Thank you for having me.
So just to recap, staying true to yourself, follow your passion. And I love that Nadine followed it right from university. She fell in love with graphic design and really evolved her skill set to photography and of course jewelry design as well. Follow Bil Arabi, Nadine Kanso. And before you go, I'm going to ask you, our motto here at Indigo Living is living beautifully. What does that mean to you?
Is to be happy with yourself, actually, and you know, just have happy and people that you love around you and love you back. I think once you have that, you will be in a good place. You'll be happy.
Love yourself, be happy, and live every day as being present as possible.
Of course, of course.
I love that. Thank you so much for being
Thank
here
you.
and sharing your positivity with us and looking glamorous. I'm so glad I got to wear my ring today.
Yes.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us today.